thank you for staying. I appreciate it.
No questions? Anyone have a question? Yes, why don't you go? Yeah, right here.
Right.
Did you have one of those where it was like, this is your building, you're like, okay, I gotta educate people, this has gotta happen?
Yeah, but the only problem that I had to protect my son. I had to make sure that he was comfortable with me sharing things that are his, not really mine. It's his pain, not really mine. So I had to really respect that, and I told my wife and my son that if they didn't like it, then I would just not do it. I would try to write something else, because I gotta respect my kid. And but luckily he saw it eventually. I was really nervous, and he gave me the thumbs up. And then because I really wanted to share this, because while my son was being bullied, I was reading about a lot of other Latin kids being bullied in East Hampton, and they off themselves, and just a lot of bullying. And you can't believe it's happening in New York when we're like 35% of the population. But and anyway, so that's why I felt like I needed to put this out there, because to help all those other kids who are struggling and not feeling less than, you know what I mean?
Hi, John. I need a mic. Two things. Number one, out of all your one-man shows, which I've seen all of them, would you have any preference? Like, what's your favorite?
That's so hard, man. It's so hard because everything was such a different time in my life, representing different traumas usually. Well, this is the one that I'm having the most fun in, because it's the closest to who I am. Like, I love Freak, but I was playing myself as a teenager, and I wasn't a teenager then, so it was a little difficult for me in my head. But I just feel like this one, it's just, I don't know, it's just like I feel like I really connect with the audience in such a personal way, in so many ways. I just feel, especially what people say afterwards, how they feel changed and transformed, because that's how I felt with all this information. I just felt like I wasn't the same person, that no one could ever step up to me and try to make me feel less, try to make me feel like I don't belong, and try to take away my rights. I just felt like I'm nah.
What's your favorite audience reaction?
My favorite audience reaction. I think it's the quiet moments when I can feel like we're all breathing at the same time together and thinking and feeling at the same time, and it's so beautiful for me. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever felt with an audience, how we're all like breathing together and thinking and feeling together. And I just feel it feels kind of healing to me.
So where did you start your research? Like, because I can imagine like there was some easy themes that like everyone's reading, right? But then like, how did you dig deeper?
She asked where did he start his research.
Well, you know, obviously I started with the empires, but you know, most of the information is kind of generic. You have to dig deeper, and then with Howard Zinn, it was a big help. And then Eduardo Galeano's Open Veins of Latin America is incredible. And then 1491 and 93 just spelled everything out. And then you have to go on websites too, like to find out, because Howard Zinn talks about all the atrocities that Columbus, you know, when he separated the men and the women, put them in different camps, and then they would slice their feet or burn them up alive. He did torture them and all these horrible things. But on the websites where I found the journals where he would talk about the 9-year-old Taino girls and how he would brag about them. So that's where I started to find out, because I had heard about the prostitution ring of 9-year-old Taino girls and the diseases and all that stuff. And so I just kept going like that, you know, like I learned that 10,000 of us fought in the Revolutionary War, so I went, okay, so what were the total troops? 80,000, and then I found out, oh, so 1 in 8. And you know, so those things lead me to more investigations and more information.
You know, I grew up in East LA, so what you've done here is phenomenal, it's beautiful, and I hope you expand on it in another different way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to pass this right down to some man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question.
In the play, you mentioned how like it was how you were sort of brainwashed into believing that white people were better than you, and you talked about how you didn't really have a Latin hero. But like after your research, who's your favorite Latin hero now?
That gets tough because there were so many. First of all, it's ridiculous how many heroes we have. But I mean, Louis Serna is pretty impressive in World War I. He won a Purple Heart in the Croix de la Guerre. He saved his platoon. He was injured, and they were shooting at him, and he captured the 24 Nazis that were shooting at him. And that was really powerful. I thought, what an incredible hero. And how come that's not in the movies, and how come that's not on the History Channel? How come that's not in our history textbooks? It's unbelievable how our contributions are just erased. It's unbelievable. There's also this incredible woman that I didn't talk about in the show, Jovita Idar, while they were lynching Latin people in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And she went around as an activist. She was a journalist and ran a newspaper and would save all these children that were being lynched. And so she was a big hero for me. Oh yeah, sorry, you're running things.
It's okay.
My bad.
It's okay, bud.
I stepped out of line. Sorry.
I love your Raul Julia shirt.
Oh, thank you.
He
Yes.
is a real hero, one of my all-time favorite actors. But there's also a lot of rage I felt in this show. Do you feel that rage in your life? Do you still feel it?
I mean, obviously when I was younger, I felt it, and I tried to rechannel it, when I was younger, obviously I couldn't rechannel it. I just was very self-sabotaging or hostile. But now my rage is more outrage. It's not as rageful, it's outrage at the cultural apartheid that we're living in, that we've been living in, and we're accustomed to. In New York City, we're 35% of the population. White people are 35% of the population. We're equal in population. Less than 1% of the stories in the New York Times are about us, especially positive, aspirational stories, or any magazine in the city that we live in. How is that possible? I mean, that's outrageous to me. That we're 20% of the population of this country and less than 1% of appointed officials in the government. It's outrage.
Ma'am, go ahead.
I want to thank you for saying things that I've been tweeting all my life and nobody has listened to me, but they're listening to you. And I also want to say that it was the zero that got me through.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing
Hey John, I saw Ghetto Clown probably 4 times, and I knew that you had you kind of changed what you were talking about in the show sometimes, show to show. I was just wondering if you have more material that you didn't do this show, but some shows you do.
Yeah, I mean, the show's changed a lot. At the beginning, there was a lot of history. And people were just not as excited by it as I was. And they would go numb, and they would get tired. I got more information. And so I had to back off, and this is the compromise between the audience and myself of how much information. But yeah, I mean, before I used to have a lot more Trump stuff that I got rid of because what's been happening to us, it predates Trump, and Trump is a symptom, not really the cause, but he started to become the cause. Like what happened in El Paso, that's because of him. So yeah, things like that have changed. I changed a lot of little things. Things I used to say, just be specific. Before I used to say, when we say we get it. Ghetto rage, what ghetto rage was, and how as a Latin person you can't talk. And then I used to say I had to defend myself, and my drug of choice was, instead of my weapon of choice, was books. And it was like my drug of choice was books, and it was fun, but it wasn't precise, it wasn't clear, it wasn't simple. But changing it to my weapon is my weapons are books. I hear a lot more young people coming out after the show telling me, oh my God, I had all this depression and anger, but now I know where to put it in books, in the knowledge. And I think, oh, that was the clarity I needed to reach these Latinx youth. Make it clear instead of confusing.
Hi, John. I was just wondering, in this day and age, if you still feel that reading is the best way to educate yourself?
Absolutely, reading, you can read it online, you can find so many websites. Hispanic Pew Research has incredible information on all the officers in the Revolutionary War, Civil War, War of 1812, we were in that war too. I mean, nobody cares about that war, but if you want to research it, it's all there in these books. And yeah, I think knowledge is power because it's the only thing they can't take away from us, ever.
Okay, so we are done.
Yeah.
That's okay with you?
Yeah,